Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It is Tuesday and we are here talking Erika Jayne drama. If you guys know, the CFO of Girardi and Keese was actually arrested and he is accused of wire fraud and allegedly paying a escort like $20,000 a month and buying her a $120,000 purse. So we have a lot to break down today. And then Alan is going to be joining us. He is an amazing rock star hairstylist. He's one of the best in the biz. He does great extensions. I'm always resharing his information. Hi guys. Hi LA. Hey Krista. How are you guys? I'm glad you could hop into the room today. Groovy. Hey Marsha, thank you so much for monetizing. I appreciate it. We're gonna have a really great live today because there's a lot to talk about, especially with the new arrest, like I said, of the CFO of Girardi and Keese. Did you guys know he was only making $350,000 a year as the CFO for Tom Girardi's attorney business? Like, does that make sense to you guys? 350,000 like a year in LA? That's like nothing. And so I thought that was really strange. I want to know what you guys think about that before we get in. I also have some really great pictures of Tom and Erika's home that I want to share with you guys. I'm not able to, for some reason, share my screen on the live. So I definitely want to get those posted for you. Maybe I can try to post them in the community while we're doing the live so that you guys can take a look at them because they were really interesting photos. I kind of had to dig for them when I was digging information up on Erika. I found these really great photos inside their mansion, of the chapel, the living room, the kitchen, and then some really actually old photos of her and Tom and Erika way before she was a housewife. P.S. She does not look anything like she looks now. Um, did you guys hear about the arrest? Are you guys interested in talking about Erika? Are you guys tired of Erika after the last Beverly Hills, um, 3-part reunion where we didn't get much of Kathy Hilton and we got more of Erika than anybody? I wanted to know what you guys think. And of course, give the room a couple of minutes to get in the chat and see if our guest is here. I talked to him earlier, so let me just message him. If everyone want to even message where you guys are at today. Wasn't her house also falling apart? Addison, I'm gonna start giving out detention slips, and you are about to be on my list. She is so funny. She said, wasn't Erika's house falling apart anyways? Oh, Marsha, you're so sweet to monetize today. I appreciate you guys. You should go follow her. Yes, I'm from Scotland, so I don't see any of the news. Okay, Dakota. Well, I'm going to be filling you in. There's been an arrest. It's a pretty big deal. I mean, he fled to the Bahamas to elude being arrested. Is that the word? Eluding? Eluding arrest? Anyways, he obviously didn't want to be arrested. And so he took off to the Bahamas. Apparently, this escort tipped him off. I'm giving you guys a lot of tea at the beginning. We're going to break all of it down, of course. But allegedly, the escort came through because he was giving her 20K a month allowance. And okay, Alan is going to be joining us, guys. You're going to love him. He actually is going to give you a little bit more perspective. You guys know that I like to have friendly debates, if you will, or kind of play the devil's advocate. And so Rell is going to be a great person to do that with because he's always kind of stood up for Erika in a way that maybe not like die hard and is unreasonable, but just sometimes has a little bit of a different perspective. So Maria wants to know, what about the Spelling Mansion scandal? Is that still an open investigation? It was actually a civil suit that was filed. So what happens, Maria, is whenever you file that with the court, they have a certain amount of time to serve the person that they're filing it against, which allegedly would be Tom. And then their party has an opportunity. They have like 90 days to write up a response, but they can also, of course, file extensions. So what happens is right now they're just kind of going back and forth with court proceedings. A lot of times they kind of hope that the client will just settle and pay up. They don't want to go to court. They don't want to pay for an attorney, but obviously that's not going to be the case here. So I'm sure that they had to put together, it's called like an answer actually. And they would need to respond with that. And then they do that 2 more times before they actually take the case and put it in front of a magistrate, and they'll make both parties appear. So let's see, Alan should be joining us here. Yeah, Alan is like, he likes Erika. He likes her, and so sometimes he can give us a little bit more insight into what she, what the scenario would be. I just can't believe that Tom Girardi, CFO, would only make $350,000. It either makes it seem like the business that Tom Girardi was in was not as lucrative as we thought, or he was maybe paying him somewhere else, right? Isn't that a possibility? He could be paying him on payroll for 350,000, but maybe he's like, well, you can dip your hand in the candy jar, but if you get caught, it's on you, not me, right? Is that a possibility? And you know what else, guys? I'm sorry to say this, but I feel like the cookie's gonna start to crumble because it's the feds that came in and arrested this guy. And I mean, if you only make $350,000 a year, how the hell are you taking off to the Bahamas and buying a house in the Bahamas to elude being arrested? That didn't make a lot of sense to me, because it made me think that he had to have been making more money somewhere else. 350K is minimum wage in Cali. Thank you, Maria. Thank you. That is not very much. Okay, we're gonna introduce Rell into the room. You guys are gonna love him.
Hello.
Hey, Rell, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
My
I was
lighting
just
sucks.
telling No, your lighting's
Okay.
great. You look amazing. I
Thank
was
you.
just telling everyone what a great stylist you are, some of the best in the biz. Your extensions are amazing. I'm always reposting on Instagram. The man has like almost
Thank you
30K
so much.
followers. And he loves the housewives and he likes you like Erica, right? I mean, you like her
Yeah,
a
I have a
little
few
bit.
favorites. Yes,
Like he's like, I
definitely.
don't want to say it, but I will. So we're
No,
gonna
I
talk.
don't mind.
Okay. So we're going to talk all about what happened with the CFO. And I was just telling the audience, Rel, how the CFO only makes his like salary for the year was only $350,000 for the CFO of Girardi Keys there down
That's
there in
probably
LA.
low for California.
That's what Marsha said. She was like, "That's minimum wage for
Yeah, that's
California."
not
I
a
thought
lot
the
at
same
all.
thing. Yeah. So we're gonna break all that down for you guys. But before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. Rel is gonna tell you guys where you can find him. Go ahead, Rel, on Instagram.
I'm located on Instagram at I am Rail Styles with a Z.
Awesome. All right,
Hopefully,
guys, let's get started. Of course, everything in this video is alleged. Okay. Let's talk about the guy being arrested first, right? Did you hear about that?
no, I think I'm not sure. Which guy?
Okay, so it was Tom Girardi. He had the law firm in LA, which was Girardi and Keese, and their CFO, Christopher Kamen, was basically charged with embezzling $10 million, wire fraud, and something else.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and it gets even juicier. He was allegedly paying a high-end escort $20,000 a month, and she tipped him off. Somehow, she knew that they were about to arrest him, and he actually took off to the Bahamas. So the feds have had this warrant on him secretly for I don't even know how long. We don't even know when they were originally going to arrest him.
They've probably been watching for years.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Very much so, which also kind of adds into what I was saying before that I feel as if Tom has a lot of people that are wrapped up into this to the point where I don't think anyone's ever going to bury him until he dies.
I think so too. There's a lot of high-end, like, judicial people
Very much so.
involved,
Yes.
if that's a nice way of saying it, and I think Tom and Erica, they were, like, big, they donated a lot to politics and, like, their political parties and candidates and stuff, so, um, we can't hear about, like, blood money being used for campaigns, right?
They would never.
So it gets even juicier, right? So he goes to the Bahamas and he comes back. How does everyone get caught? Why do they always come back? They get caught because they come to visit family, right?
Right, the dumbest thing.
His sister. His sister. That's who he was coming to visit. His sister.
Quick question. So the Bahamas is their own like country, right?
I know. That's actually a really good
Only reason I said that
question.
is because this is just a quick side little thing, but I don't know if you heard or everyone else, but the guy who literally just ran away to the Bahamas that stole like $10 billion in that cryptocurrency thing. And they
Vaguely
said that
heard.
he's in the Bahamas too. And I've been hearing that they're saying that they don't know if the United States is going to handle the case or the Bahamas because his business was registered there. So I'm thinking like, is the Bahamas like the hideout for all these rich thieves?
I feel like you're onto something because that kind of yeah, that is kind of wild because the Bahamas you used to be able to go in the Bahamas with your birth certificate cuz like 15 years ago I was fortunate to go one time and you didn't even need a passport because they said it was like US jurisdiction. So like I wonder if they would have just like whenever like you say you get in trouble in California but you go to jail in like Texas and then like Texas has the option to come to California and bring you to Texas,
Or
but
not?
sometimes they don't. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Um it says the Bahamas became an independent country within the Commonwealth in 1973. But you know who else was in the Bahamas? Mem-
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he was. You're right.
I believe, yeah, I
And
think it was the Bahamas.
like down below there in the Virgin Islands, right around there. I think it was St. John's. There was like Big St. John,
Right.
Little
That's the
St.
only thing.
John.
I don't know if it was the Bahamas or the Virgin Islands.
I'll look it up real quick.
But either way, they're super close. I know that.
Also though, that big gangster that they made the movie about with Johnny Depp. Remember the movie was called Blow and it had Johnny
Oh,
Depp and what was her name?
I
Oh,
watched it
Penelope
so long ago.
Cruz.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, he was set up in the Bahamas, and he actually said that he was one of the ones that discovered like one of the smaller islands, bought it, and put an airstrip on it, and was like flying,
And
packages.
so the Bahamas must be one of those countries that doesn't cooperate with America.
It
It's
must.
because there are a few countries that are like that. Um,
You know who else
I
is in the
know there was like a
Bahamas?
rumor that El Chapo was there for a while.
Really?
So, I mean, it was a rumor, but of course he wouldn't say it too loud.
Right. So you know who else is there? Joe Judice, the one that was so that he was basically made to leave the United States because he got the felonies and he
Right.
wasn't actually a citizen. And so now he's like living in the Bahamas. He's living his best life
Oh,
down there. So
I thought he was
maybe
still in Italy.
no,
Oh,
he's in the Bahamas. He like posts all the time. Like it was one of the
I
girls'
follow him, but I always
birthdays.
thought he was still in Italy. But now that you
Mm-mm.
said that, it would make sense because the girls could get there quicker, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the girls were just, I think they're with him now.
I think so
Like,
too, because it was their birthday.
yeah, I saw him post the pictures. That makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense, though.
And it's like cheaper flight, I'm sure, than flying international, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah.
But it's really wild because his mom went down there and he posted she was like cooking and he said like she came down to make Thanksgiving dinner for him early because he can't come to the United States.
Oh,
So she went down there and made him Thanksgiving dinner. Um, because
wait.
he
I
can't come
thought his
home.
parents were in Italy too.
Mm-mm.
Oh, so they stayed here. His other family
Mm-hmm.
is in Italy. Okay.
Like grandparents, like
Yeah, I
distant
know the older
cousins.
generations are still there. I didn't even think about
Yes.
that. I didn't even know his parents were still here.
I think the dad passed. I think he did pass. You know what he did? I always remember he mooned photographers and paparazzi when Joe and Teresa were going to federal court
I do
and
remember
like everything was coming out and the photographers and paparazzi were following Joe and Teresa and Joe's dad was in the back seat and he put his rear end up to the back window and pulled his pants down and was slapping his ass. I hope I don't get demonetized.
I don't
Um
think he would.
yeah, he did.
But I
He
do
mooned the
remember that story.
photographers. Oh, that was so
Paparazzi can
funny.
just be so annoying. I always tell people like I could never do that, handle that. So when I hear these type of things, it's kind of like crazy, but it doesn't shock me.
I know, right? I feel like they were like wild cards, you know what I mean? Which is
Yeah,
fine. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if they have an extradition treaty. It says
I
that
don't feel like they can.
upon the entry into the force of the treaty between the United States and Great Britain, I don't know really. There's not a lot on it, to be honest. They probably would have to do a lot of work. They'd have to get down there and make sure they came home with him. But the feds fly everywhere to pick people up because, like, if you're like in Florida and the closest federal penitentiary is Texas, like they fly to get you in Florida and then they take you to Texas. I think they have like their own airplanes, maybe.
Yes, but they can't legally take someone out of a country if the country doesn't agree to it though.
Good point, Ro. That's why you're
It's
here.
a word for it. I just can't remember the word.
Is it extradition?
I think it is something to do with extradition.
Yeah, it's like they
Because
have to have an
remember, if you remember, or I don't know if you know that much about like the cartels, but you know I studied the cartels from like back in the day.
yes.
For years, Mexico didn't have the extradition. That's why they wanted El Chapo and like Pablo Escobar so bad, and they never could get them. Remember,
Mm,
Pablo Escobar built his own jail in Mexico, and that pissed
yes.
America off, and
Yes.
America couldn't go and get them. That's when, soon as they changed the law for that extradition, he was the one. He was the one who changed the law for Mexico. It was Pablo
Wow.
Escobar. And as soon as they did, that's when America went there, and they're the ones that got him and killed him because Mexico couldn't do it.
This little tiny town where I'm from, there was a lady and she was married to a man that was in the military who was from the tiny town. And so when they retired, they came back to the tiny town and she
Wait,
shot and killed his ass and went to Brazil and they
what?
couldn't extradite her. She was in Brazil for like 10 years and she came back into the US, something along those lines,
To visit, I'm sure.
and to visit and got arrested. Yeah, she killed him and took off to Brazil. She made it because they like lived alone. So he was like, he had passed for a
Oh,
couple,
she probably thought she would get away with it since it was such like a little hick town or something.
maybe. I mean, she went home to Brazil. I was like, wow, that isn't, I mean, she like shot him in the back. It was truly sad. I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm just,
That's
uh,
terrible.
yes. And she just
She
took off to Brazil.
she probably wanted the life insurance or something.
Maybe. Wild though. So, anyways, the CFO, back to the alleged Girardi and Keith fraud. He took off and went to the Bahamas and bought property. And then he came back into the US to visit the sister. And now he's been arrested. But there was an article that came out that said he has retained a high end ex DC prosecutor as his defense attorney. Now, most people probably don't know what the price of a defense attorney costs. And basically, they can make up their own prices, whatever they feel like they want to charge you. That's what they're going to charge you. And it could be hundreds of dollars on like a 45-minute basis. Like, right, Rel? Tell him.
Those
Tell
types of,
him.
from my understanding, those type of attorneys start off at $250,000 deposits. By the time
Yes.
you're done fighting the case, you're going to be paying millions.
Yes.
I mean, I
Yes.
even know a rapper who said he paid a million and 200,000 to beat a murder charge,
Yeah. I mean, it's like
and
not
he always
worth
says,
it.
"Go to this lawyer, go to this lawyer," and I'm always like, people don't really have that type of money, but thanks for the
Right.
tip. But rich people do.
Right, that's true. And so they can charge them whatever they want because they know, if they have money or not.
And more
Um,
profile the cases, they're definitely going to get their coins.
oh, for sure. Why do you think Jen Shaw? I mean, I love Jen Shaw, but she's settled because you know what her attorney bill would have looked like by the time every time they go to court, every time
A
they
million
file a
dollars.
paperwork, every time they stand up in front of the judge for 10 minutes, you're going to pay them. Like, and it's not going to be a little bit.
I
So,
bet you if Jen Shaw doesn't go to jail, Her attorney fees were definitely total over 500,000, if not more.
I'm sure. Did she use her mom's retirement for her bond or for her attorney fees? Because people were like accusing her of like
I think her
basically.
mom just did it to get her like the bill, I thought.
I thought so too, because people were like accusing her of like taking her mom's money, even though she was
Me
like
personally,
guilty.
in my opinion, I think that was all strategic.
Probably. That's a good
It's
point.
like I'm broke, my mom had to get me out. The rest of the money I have to fight for my life.
Right.
So I don't know.
Um, Here's a little bit of details about Cameron. Allegedly, he worked directly with Tom Girardi and he had the authority to wire money from firm accounts and sign checks to clients. Now, one thing I want to point out too, if you have a business that owes people money, there's people calling to get their money because it's not just like the big accounts they didn't pay. They probably weren't paying, like, especially the little
I mean,
people.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, they're not
Those
gonna pay
are
the big ones. They definitely
ex-
won't pay the little ones.
and that's a lot of phone calls. And when people get angry, they're like, F the secretary. Like, they just start, spieling it out on the phone to whoever answers it. Like, look, Tom owes me money. Blah, blah. Like, you're going to know. It's going to get around the office what's happening. Those employees had to know red flags. Something was going on. People weren't getting paid, right?
I had a similar experience, a little similar, and I do agree.
Yes, me too. That's the only reason I know that because
Right.
I
So
work
you
for a
know, yes.
privately owned company and they ended up closing out their LLC and just opening up under a new one to get out from underneath the debt of the original LLC. And it was like a couple of months of phone call after people's paychecks start bouncing, the electric bill bounces. Like, it's going to get around. People know you're not paying your bills for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, he worked directly with Tom Girardi, and it said he worked with bereaved families. Now, Rel, I take that as meaning people that are like bereavement, like they've lost somebody close to them, like a sibling, mom, dad, grandparents, right?
I would think so, like a close family, I would believe.
Yes. So that's the kind of families that he worked with whose settlement monies were stolen. The suit alleges as the firm's account, Cayman was responsible for disappearing the client money out of the firm's trust account and using the money to make payroll and pay off such items as the American Express bill for more than $14 million in luxury items, luxury food, and services. So, exactly what we said. The little people weren't getting paid. So, this man transferred money from the trust account, which the trust account works, guys. Like, basically, the trust account gets paid the settlement, and then the attorney is supposed to only take out his fees and then cut the clients a check from the trust account. But Tom was writing checks just like he did for the earrings, allegedly, directly from the trust account. Like, he didn't even give any F's anymore. He was like, I'm not even transferring it. I'm not even trying to make it look like I'm just going to take it right from this trust account. Like, no F's given. And so this man transferred money to pay payroll and to pay credit card bills that were coming that essentially would have been in the company's name or Tom's name, right?
Yeah. And my question is, that's a lot of money for materialistic things. What are the other things?
Well,
They have
we
like a
saw
house
the
full of Birkins or something?
we saw the $25 million Amex bill because Ronald Richard posted it on Twitter a long, long time ago. When I tell you there were charges of tens of thousands to places labeled like LA Times, Chicago News, Florida Beacon Journal, like all these different news outlets that I don't know if they were running stuff against Erika, if they were going to run it against Tom, what the case was, they were paying these people off. She paid a company like $11,000 to basically assess her and what sort of demographic would receive her and her singing career best. And that's why she targeted like LGBTQ clubs. And that's where she would perform because she felt like they were the ones that would, take to her the most.
Which does work, and other artists do that too.
Yeah.
which is really interesting because her career was going pretty good for a while. So that money that she had access to definitely really helps her because those are things that you normally would have to sign with a label and they would do those type of things for you, but that would come with a
And
cost.
exactly, Rel. Just like all the places that she went to perform where normally the performer would be endorsed by somebody there, like the alcohol company or whatever. In her situation, Tom would fly her and her stylist and hair people, the whole thing. There was a whole article about it, allegedly first class. He paid them, dined them, everyone stayed nicest hotels. Like he was giving everyone the first class treatment, like even Erica's, team, and nobody else was paying for it, and that's usually not the case with artists. Usually those things are sponsored. You're not supposed to pay for that out of pocket, right?
Exactly. And if not, people are not going to like fly on first class. They would just get a regular flight.
Right, exactly. um I'm interested to know too because Tom was on the bar, right? Tom wasn't okay. So Tom got all this shit happened, and Tom still had his law license when he was like in the old folk home. Like the bar, the California State Bar allegedly had not yet like cut his law license out.
They weren't.
Isn't that crazy?
That's the same as if you are like in the house, in one of the houses to the government.
Right.
They're not going to
Right.
cut they're not going to cut it because they know that you have too much on them. They're only going to do
Mhm.
it if the public demands it.
Mhm. And what happened was there was like a fee that came across, like there's like, you have to pay to keep your license active, and because he was in the old folks home, nobody paid it. And so that temporarily suspended his license until people were outraged enough that, like you said, they finally disbarred him. But they never mentioned the fact that he was actually grading the California State Bar and allegedly making the decisions on who was getting their law license and who wasn't, like who was passing the bar and who wasn't.
And I believe that that move was strategic too because they probably thought about it like, okay, just don't pay to renew, and then we could just say that. So then we don't look bad, you don't look bad, and then we don't have to like tell any business or anything.
Exactly. And they just recently came out with like a 3-page article about how they are taking responsibility because they had complaints on Tom Girardi up to 10 years ago. People were making
Wow.
complaints to the California State Bar and they didn't do
Ignored
anything.
it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which is very interesting because some of those people who made those complaints could possibly sue them.
Yeah. That's actually
Especially
a good
because
point.
you're now admitting that publicly, which I think is probably was a bad decision. But
I think the women there was like 10 women that had like gotten allegedly breast cancer from like this hormonal birth control or something, and Tom took their money and they had made complaints to the California State Bar, and there's I know for sure was one of the reports that was overlooked by the California State Bar. So, um and then it looks like okay, so he was taken into custody at Baltimore Washington International Airport. This was like 6 days ago. And he was being held on the basis of a criminal complaint prepared by an FBI agent in Los Angeles and signed by a federal magistrate judge. The whole case, though, really is under seal. So it looks like the feds made a statement or there was some sort of document filed because that's how we're getting the allegations, at least some of them. But most of it is still sealed because it was probably like a secret indictment because none of us even knew that they were looking to indict him. So it would be a surprise to him when he flew into the airport.
definitely. I feel as if though he's gonna get a bond.
I think so too. I think he will too. I think they're just letting him sit just to kind of I don't know. I just think that he'll definitely get a bond too. Um It says he started at the firm around the year 2000 as an accounts payable clerk. Isn't this crazy? So he would have started kind of accounts payables, like you're paying like the bills and answering the phones and whatever. And he worked his way up to CFO. And he dealt directly with the legal ledge. So I wonder if he wasn't an attorney then. He had the authority to wire money from firm accounts and sign checks to clients, according to the filings from a trustee overseeing the bank proceedings. He also negotiated with lenders and oversaw the firm's retirement plans. Um,
Sounds like an office manager to me.
It sure does. It sure
Or it sounds like
does.
somebody that was brung in purposely to do those things and they were down with the little illegal activity on the side.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, chief financial officer, but I would have thought he still would have had like a legal background because typically, in those type of situations in smaller office, like they want everyone to be legal of
That's why I
some
said I feel like
sort.
it could possibility he was brung there purposely.
Yeah, for sure. Because he wasn't even a paralegal. That seems a little strange. Yeah, for sure. So I guess he retained the high power criminal defense attorney and they refused to answer questions. He's invoked his right to silence. And allegedly they searched for funds to repay the cheated clients and other creditors in a federal hearing in Illinois. And there was an attorney from Girardi and Keese where he was asked and grilled questions about the Girardi's misappropriation. So it's interesting that Girardi and Keese had an attorney. Like, is Girardi and Keese just still operating?
There, I believe so. I think it's a
Do you
full blown operation. Lawyers on
do you have a
call.
phone with you? Do you have a work phone? I wish I had my work phone with me right now. I want to call there. Can we call there?
Dang, my other phone only works on Wi-Fi.
Girardi and Keese.
I
I could.
doubt they answer though, but I think it's only the people that are included that's gonna be in cahoots with each other.
That'd be so funny. I feel like they're still open. That's so
Yeah,
wild
I have
because
a
who?
very
I wonder
bold
who
theory.
Keese is. Do you want to tell us your theory?
I mean, yeah, I just think that. Well, you already know. I always felt as if Tom is just two steps ahead. I don't think that. I think pretty much everything that's going on is very pre-planned, pre-ready. Attorneys on payroll, and I feel like Tom's going to pass away in the next 10 years or less. And I believe that once
That's
he
not a
passes,
fair prediction. I mean,
I
yeah,
just
you
think that they're going
think?
to stall everything out until Tom passes away, and Tom's going to be the one that everyone's going to blame, and then they're going to go about their business.
Oh my gosh, you're like he's gonna die in the next 10 years. I'm like, you think? What gave
I
it
think the
away?
money that I think everyone's money is already hidden, been for
um
years, and I think everyone's prepared.
oh, that is so funny. I just think they're still operating because I feel like Robert Keese isn't in trouble. And it's that he is like the other person in on the business with Tom. It was Tom and Robert Keese. So I wonder if he's like still operating and they're just gonna I don't know though, because they went in and like raided the place.
Yeah, I was
Remember,
about
they
to
had
say,
like
what would they operate, especially without a law license?
yeah, wild. But where did we leave off? Oh, we were talking about everything happening with Tom. We know he's in the old folks' home, and about $10,000 a month is what allegedly it's costing him. So we were kind of discussing. Oh shoot, my phone's already on low battery. We were discussing like what just basically who's paying for the $10,000 a month at the old
Great
folks home?
question.
Who's paying it? The brother's a dentist, right? So I don't think that he's walking around with tens of
And
thousands
just to
just
be
to.
sure, do we know if he is just a dentist? Does he own an office, or is he just a regular dentist that just works in a public dentist office?
I'm
Because
not sure.
I don't think he can afford it if he's just a regular dentist.
I think he just has like his own practice. To be honest, but he's like older, so he's probably retired or looking to retire, and he probably doesn't want to use his retirement to give it to Tom at the old folks' home.
Definitely not.
And then,
Well, another little point too I left out yesterday. The guy that I was telling you about, that's a dentist, he still works. He said he retired 2 times and he gets bored and he goes back to work.
I believe
But
that.
he
I do
accepts
believe that.
patients, I think 3 days a week, I believe. Yeah, 3 days a week.
Because
He's
I
like
worked
70.
I worked like in dentist offices. And you're 100% right. Like doctors, they like retire and then they want to go back a couple of days a week, but they make really good money. And I think they realize like it's not, if you can go to work whenever you want and set your schedule and what your days and you have that luxury and you're like the boss, like who wouldn't want to work a couple of days a week? They're used to living more higher end lifestyle. So they retire, and they want to have a BMW and an Equinox and a,
All
truck.
kids they're probably taking care of,
Yeah,
helping out.
exactly. Grandchildren, colleges. So like they're like, F it, we'll just work a couple of days a week and, bring in a decent amount probably. It looks like he has a dental office in Lakewood, California. So it looks like he just has his own office. Just like a
Well, I mean,
typical dentist.
he may could afford it, but
Do you want
for
to call there?
how long though? How long? It's already been like 2 years.
Right. That's a lot of money. That's for
So,
sure a lot of money.
like, even within 2 years, that's like 200 and like what is like $40,000, and you
Yeah,
can like buy
absolutely.
a house for that.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I mean, not in California, but
Right. No, you're 100% right. And like is he on like government aid? Because here's the thing, like he doesn't have any money. I don't think they had like any money in the bank at all. Like everything was if they had, it was like taken. And they sold the mansion, and we saw a report where Tom had basically like itemized different pieces of furniture in the house, like even down to his daughter's like bed and mattress and box spring, and he wanted like reimbursed for those items. Because they were like sold with the house or the trustees just got rid of them or whatever. Yeah, he like wanted compensated for like the kitchen table and chairs and like
I wonder why.
because don't have any money. He doesn't have any money, I would assume.
Well, whatever. I just don't think like you. How do you just call and say like, "Hey, well, could you possibly pay me back
He
for just a few of the items?"
he filed a
Like,
whole like 10-page suit on it, and he had photos and described each item and their value and what he felt he should have been compensated for, and they filed it with the court like
which ties
officially.
into what I keep saying. Like, is he how they say he is, or is he still up on game? Because it seems like he's still up on game, if you ask me.
I think so
Because as a
too.
lawyer that's been a lawyer that long, I'm sure he does know the loopholes.
Right, right.
And
Yeah,
also, I was
absolutely.
gonna ask you too. I don't know this for sure, but like, if it because he's still alive, wouldn't he be able to legally maybe request some money from his trust?
Well, I don't think there's any money, and like the courts literally seized everything they could. Like they took everything. So he had would have no money in the bank, he would have no 401k, like anything that he did have I think would be like because I don't really understand why they go to bankruptcy court if everything's like totally seized, by the but I'll tell you why. Partly, I think because the court appointed the trustee, but he doesn't have criminal charges, so there's no like criminal litigation going on. But I think the bankruptcy was like filed to like slow down the other proceedings. I don't know. Like you said, it's all like this grand scheme of loopholes in the judicial system.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Just like the robbery, everyone like laughs about the robbery, but what they don't understand is that what Tom did was genius because anything expensive, lavish, jewelry, anything that would have allegedly been in that house that would have been valuable that he would have had to have given up to go towards the victims, he can say was stolen because there was a robbery. He did that on purpose. So now they could take items from the home and say they were taken in the robbery and not have to give them up to, the courts to make right with the debt that's owed. And so Erika purposely said that on camera, allegedly, because it corroborated his story.
Yep. That stuff was probably stolen, purposely shipped to another country and sold for cash.
Yeah, probably. I would say so too. Um, I always wondered about like, do you ever wonder about Erika's son? Anyone in the chat, you guys wonder about Erika's son, like what he thinks about all this?
I have thought about it, but I feel like her and her son's relationship, is so chill that he's probably like up on game too. He's a police officer, let's not forget. He probably is like, listen, whatever we got to do, I'm just go along with it. But he's so out of the loop, which is a good thing for him. He's probably just going to work minding his business every day.
I think so too. I
I
think
mean,
so
it's not
too.
like he's like he doesn't need her. He's not like 21. He's of a good age. He's probably like, listen. He and the thing is, even me, I've been around so many wealthy people that you start to learn how they work. They don't even take things serious. They're like,
Mm,
I have court next month. Let's party until let's like they don't. Wealthy people are so strategic. They live their lives. They hardly even lose. They're
yeah,
half the time they live in their mansions until the very end. They still like use their credit cards. They're like they have such an advantage. And then to be Tom's was retired, well, not even retired. He was an attorney. Erika's son's police officer. All those people are in cahoots with each other. They're very smart individuals.
for
They know how
sure.
to play the game. Just like the fake story about crashing the car with the snowstorm. Like when is there a snowstorm in California?
Right, but that all had to roll into the robbery story so that they could get the items out of the house and get them sold for the money.
And with
Basically
police
they robbed
officers,
themselves.
when there's no evidence, it's always like their word against whatever.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There was no cameras on that hill, whether they fell down the hill or not.
um, so Tom has a daughter. I always wondered about his kids too, because I thought it was really weird that Erica never spoke of them. Because typically, if you have an elderly parent, like your children start to make decisions and or like at least have input on the decisions of the well-being of their elderly parent when they start to get older. So the kick is his daughter's husband allegedly worked at the firm and he is corrupt too. Like
What do
you
you
said,
know?
they're all in this tangled
I didn't
web.
even
Yeah.
know about the daughter, but what do you know?
Yep. Her name is Jacqueline Lira. She's actually a little bit not hard to find, but kind of. And she is born in Venice Beach, California. So she's still out in that area. And of course, her husband was working for Tom. And, she was alleged. The lottery scheme, the people that won the lottery and Tom allegedly took their winnings, he was distributing it between family members and Erica, and the daughter allegedly received some of those funds.
I'm
Yep.
not even familiar with that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like, I know because there's so much
How do
that's
you steal
been,
someone's like lottery money?
well, because the lottery is paying every month to the trust. And so I think they navigated because you can make anyone a payee on something, you
See,
know what I
that's
mean? Like,
okay. That's why I never would do that. Anytime I see those stories where it says, "Oh, would you just take 5 million a year or like 500 million now?" No, I need my money now, and I need control. Whether I'm gonna go broke or not again, it'll be on my dime and not yours.
exactly. Isn't that
Because
crazy?
that is true. Now, yeah, they do have those options, but I always, I'm always like speechless when people choose that because I wouldn't even trust that.
I know. But they trust the system. Like I feel like there's a generation, of like really good-hearted people, my aunt and uncle or such, and they pay their taxes and they, live their life and they're law abiding and they trust the system is fair and just and that, who wouldn't think they could trust Tom Girardi? I mean, he like basically was the attorney from that movie with Julia Roberts, Aaron Brockovich.
That's
Remember?
very true. And I will say, not in his defense, but maybe he was a good attorney for a certain amount of time. I mean,
Maybe.
his reputation was very good, back to the like 80s and 90s. So maybe he was a good attorney to build up, his history and his connections, and then maybe he went like bad, like how cops go bad and stuff like that.
Right.
Because
She has wiped.
you had to be doing something good of a job to have like an office, have people working under you.
Right.
I feel like it was a mixture of good and bad, and then he just went completely bad.
I agree with you 100%. Side note, Jacqueline has allegedly, I mean, she's like wiped herself from the internet. Like, you can't even find a picture of her. You can like find out who her husband is. There's like one article up about the lottery scheme, and then that's like it. That's
Wow.
wild.
What about the
And
post you posted earlier? I thought that was interesting.
what did I post
With
earlier?
the Jacqueline from New Jersey.
Don't get me started on New Jersey.
Right, it's super off track. I should have never even mentioned it.
No, no,
When
I
you
love
said
New
Jacqueline,
Jersey.
that's
I
at
love
first
New
I
Jersey.
thought of that Jacqueline.
Oh, yes, Jacqueline from Real Housewives of New Jersey. Yes, yes, because she corroborates, Lisa, or she corroborates Carlos King's story, that corroborates the other producer's story, that corroborates Teresa Giudice's story, that Melissa went on the show behind her back. So, I just there's like an account on Instagram that like she be finding all the good clips.
I
Actually, I
love
feel like
those
you.
type of accounts.
Yes, she's amazing. It's called Love, Love, Love Gabriella. She's on Instagram, but she always has the best clips of New Jersey. Because I always say, go back, watch the season. And side note, Kim D did Behind the Velvet Rope, and she was talking about how she was gonna go back and start watching from season one, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and take notes on things before the new season starts.
Well, I recommended I did it a few months ago.
Ooh, did you guys hear that? He did it a few months ago. I'm
Remember,
gonna,
I was sending you like 50,000
yes,
videos.
yes.
I was sending them to everybody, like, go back and watch New Jersey. Getting pissed
What
off all over again, seeing the old clips.
I know. What surprised you the most, like from rewatching New Jersey?
Oh, I'll honestly tell you, what surprised me the most is just to see how long and how vulgar, like Joe, the brother, and Melissa has just been to Teresa and the parents this whole time. Like, I've always known that because I've watched since I was in middle school, but it just infuriates me even more. And then the other day, when you mentioned that Teresa says she never rewatched the show, I never knew that. And I feel as if she watched the show before, she would have been like distance from them completely because just like you said she said, like, or I don't know if you said it was she said it or her new husband, but in the green screens they take low blows at Teresa and whoever else is associated with her from the beginning, from season one. Melissa never had any good intentions, in my opinion, ever. I don't think
Yeah.
she ever did. And I don't even think Joe knows how much Melissa have always hated Teresa and wanted to be an enemy of hers. I don't think it even clicks in his head. Like, if he needs to go back and watch the season one.
Yeah.
That's who really might needs to go back and watch.
I love that. I actually love that idea. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I wish I had his address. I would literally mail him a letter
No, we'll just tag him. We'll make something on Instagram and
like,
tag him.
please go back because it's really sad to see, like, I get very personal with New Jersey,
Me too.
and their family really resonates with my family. Like,
Mm.
honestly, it's really bad in my family right now. It's
Oh,
terrible.
I'm sorry.
So it's okay. Thank you so much. Which I normally don't even tell people, but like people who really knows me knows that. So it really resonates with me. I always say that word so stupid, but because my family is like that, literally terrible. So and it didn't used to be that way. So these issues that they have in New Jersey really hits home for me, and it really bothers me. Like if I went on a TV show like that, it would probably like hell, like worse than they went through, because my family is so similar to that. Like live
Mm-hmm.
in the same city, don't talk to each other, don't see each other. They're separate little groups of individuals that do deal with each other. Like my family is just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like last winter, I seen my cousin at the club. Haven't seen my cousin in like 7 years.
Oh.
So, I feel like Joe could have stepped up and been a real big brother a long time ago and shut everything down with Melissa and Teresa.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I saw this scene of Melissa. I told the viewers a couple of weeks ago. She was like in the bedroom. She's talking to Joe, and her and Teresa had words because Melissa went on Twitter and like that was around the time she was allegedly selling those fake Chanel bags. And she tweeted something like, I don't sell fake handbags. I'm not the one that went to prison or something like that. And Joe had no idea that she had tweeted that. When she told him that, he was looked at her like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Like, stay out of it. So I think they've had conversations, and I don't think she's truth. I used to think Joe and Melissa knew, but I really think Melissa has made moves behind the scenes, like convincing him to do the show, and just like that time in the car after the Posh fashion show, and she was whispering to Joe, tell your sister that's terrible. Or remember they were in the car and they were leaving the
Yeah.
posh and she was whispering like, shame on you. Tell your sister shame on her. Shame on her. Like,
And he was kind of like thrown off guard,
but he
but he never
listened.
stands. He never stands up.
No,
It's
nope.
rare.
I agree with you.
And
Just
I
like if,
truly thought that, honestly, like in my own opinion, because I always, in these situations that are really real, I really wish these people the best because I know how it feels. And I really thought that after the parents passed away, that he would really just be like a really good brother and just really turn into a family oriented person, whether you have to get off the show or not. Because me personally, if it was me and that was my only sister, I'd be like, do you want to get off the show? What will it take? Because
mm-hmm.
this is real life. Like, our parents are dead. We are really what each other has. Like, I have in numbers more family members in America than they do, and I have a super small family.
Mm,
So I can just imagine how, how everyone feels, especially the kids, because the kids are similar ages.
yeah.
So now they're like, probably, I'm sure they're not dealing with each other. And another thing that kind of pissed me off, well, sorry, I meant not to
No,
cuss.
you're fine.
But I don't think that's a terrible cuss word, but maybe
No,
some
you
do.
good, you good.
But the scene, I think in season 2 or 3, where Melissa says she wants to sell the house so the kids don't go to school together,
Yep.
that
Yep.
really showed me how low she will go. Because even me, I literally have a very close relationship with my few close cousins that are my age. Even right now, I just spoke with my cousin, seen them last weekend. I don't even talk to my aunt, their mother. I don't talk to her at all. But me and my couple cousins, we stick together. We ignore the
Good.
parents because my parents has issues with their parents. We ignore the parents and we still keep in contact. So I can only imagine how the kids feel, because it's always bad when the kids. It's bad when the parents are feuding, but normally the kids will still have some relationship. Melissa has
Mm-hmm.
made it to now where the kids have no relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
then people don't really like on Instagram. I feel like it's such a newer community that a lot of people don't know the old Melissa.
Thank you. I love that you said that. Say that again. New
Like, people really
community.
need to like go to the past and really watch these shows from seasons 1, because you will see so many things that Melissa does that is so devious. Like, when she said that about the kids, I'm like, you got the
Mm-hmm.
kids are at school. If they're communicating at school, that's great. Like, you would think you wouldn't want your kids to separate. The kids have never had issues.
I agree with you. She says it again at the reunion in case you don't hear it throughout the season.
Yep,
She
she
says it
did.
at the reunion because Andy Cohen blatantly asked her about it.
And I think Andy did that on purpose.
Me too.
I feel like Andy really is close with Teresa, and sometimes he might not say his own opinion, but he'll call Melissa out on certain things to make sure people hear it, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that that's her real answer, it's set in stone.
I know. Yeah, because she says it in her confessionals. You know what I mean? And if you remember, there was like a scene where they get the kids together and they go to like make bracelets, and like
Yeah.
Melissa is like trying to control the color of beads that the girls use and do it like this. And oh no, use this string. And Teresa's like sitting there,
She
like,
made it
just
so awkward.
yeah. And Teresa's like, just let them make their bracelets however they want. Like, she was like in the mix trying to like perfect everything. And like the kids were annoyed and Teresa was annoyed. Like, it was annoying.
It definitely was annoying, and I just wish that more people on like Instagram can really see Melissa for who she is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Instagram community is just so newer to a lot of the housewives shows,
I agree
honestly.
with you. That's why I'm always like resharing and posting the clips that account Love 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 Gabriella posts. Because she's like she goes way back, you know what I mean? Season 1, 2, and 3. So I reshare it, I'll share it in my story, like
Yes, the
hopefully.
people need to know.
Yeah, I know. You like I mean, it's the truth. Like she came on this. Remember, she got the Rolex on the Christmas tree, and then they
Oh,
were driving the Bentley, and she
and
crashed the Bentley.
They've tried to shame Teresa in the past so many times with her losing her house or whatever, selling the stuff in the house, all the stuff that happens to them. And if you want to be honest, Teresa has stayed on top and lost it all. And Melissa and Joe are struggling to keep up their fake image. Just
I
like
know.
when the real estate agent brung Diddy's first baby mother to see the house, and they were like, the things were broken in the bathroom. There was
Oh
fake
yeah.
gold. it was a cheap. They said it was a cheaper build. It was just made
Mm,
to look luxury and high end, but a lot of the things were knockoff or cheaper versions of what that type of home really should have been as far as features. And
yep.
they didn't even get barely anything for that home versus what they wanted. They got like half price.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember
Yep.
the realtor told her, like, my clients aren't going to buy this at that price. It's going to need a lot of work here.
Yeah, the
Everything's half
countertop was like
ass.
falling off. I
Yeah, and
remember.
honestly, I'm not even a hater. Originally, when they were in that house, I thought that was like a really
Me too.
nice home. Like, it looked like a very nice home. But to find out so many corners were cut to kind of get the home done, it's like, you know. And another thing I don't like about Jersey, and then I don't want to drag you guys with this, but how the brother always tries to make it like Joe Judice wasn't the original builder. Like, he
Juicy
taught you.
Joe. We call
Yeah,
him
like,
Juicy Joe.
people can say what they want to say about Joe, but Joe was always there for their family, everyone, the parents, Teresa.
Yeah,
He taught the brother how to get in the business, taught
he
him a
did.
lot, and they try to discredit that. But it's like, before Joe Judice, you weren't even doing that type of business.
Right. No, you're 100% right. They said it in one of the episodes that Joe Judice, Juicy Joe, had taught Joe everything he knew about flipping in the flipping house business. And the first house Joe did, it was nice. He sold it and like made a profit. It was like he sold it to like a baseball
I
person or
think it was a good profit.
something. But that's where he was like living when he met Melissa, and she moved in 6 weeks because once
Melissa
he
totally, Melissa hit the lottery, okay, and
yes.
he'll never admit it, but the sister
Yes.
already exposed that a long time ago.
No, you're right. But
Melissa got
listen,
everything that she really wanted, but what a lot of people don't understand is that karma always comes. It could be 20 years later,
yes, it
40 years
does.
later. Karma never misses any of us.
We have a Karma Collective in the chat. She says that show wouldn't last if Teresa said bye. Big
That
facts.
it wouldn't be anywhere near the same ratings. I mean, let's be honest. I tell people this all the time. This every storyline is pretty much connected to her. About 80% of the storyline. Joe
Absolutely.
and you know what? I'll say this: the show probably would survive, but not off of the brethren in the not off of Melissa and Joe. They'll
Mm-mm.
be gone without Teresa. They'll have nothing to talk about. What are they going to
Mm-hmm.
talk about? All their debt they have,
Mm,
how they keep
mm,
moving house to house every 2 to 3 years,
mm. And
how
the
Joe
balloon
attacked his
mortgages.
tenants,
Oh yeah,
robbed
Texas.
them when they actually got payment from the government. Like, what? They don't want to talk about those things. So
No, they don't. Hey, Alan, I gotta grab my chart. Well, I might be able to use my charger right here because my phone's
I have
low
to
and I
plug
don't
my
want.
laptop up too. So let's just both do it at the same
Let's
time.
both do it right now.
I've been waiting for it.
Sorry, guys. We're just taking a little break here. We're gonna make sure. Hopefully, my charger's gonna charge here.
My phone's always dead. I literally charged it this morning just for you guys.
Okay, there we go. Um, Okay, there was a blind item that posted really quickly. It just came up, blind item number 13. But quickly, I just want to say hi to JoJo in the chat. We love her. She always
Oh
taps
yeah.
in. Caroline, the carnivore. Yes, honey. Karma Collective. All and Marsha, she, does our monetized, not the word monetized, but she, she keeps everything going. We
Moderator.
appreciate her. Yeah, she's our
Yes.
moderator. And so the blind item, can you guys hear me okay though? Can you hear me good?
I think
Everyone?
so. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So the blind item, it's blind item number 13, and it reads as follows. The housewife couple like to make it seem like this fashion house gave them free stuff, but they bought it themselves and they pretended the house gave it to them for clout. And people are saying Beverly Hills, maybe Dorito and PK.
I really did think that automatically.
Did you?
Yeah. Because she has in the past. But she
Yeah.
denies it, but
Yeah.
um I don't know. These girls are so sketchy these days. It's really weird because back in the day, the housewives really were just who they were. Like,
Yeah.
you were a rich girl, you were the rich girl. If you were the more the middle class girl, you're more the middle class girl. Like, nowadays
Mhm.
everyone's like faking it. You got to borrow clothes and rent bags and stuff. It's just getting crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I feel like Dorit, like, she just really hasn't been bringing a lot, the last couple of seasons, and
I'm a little
people are
scared for her.
yeah, people are talking about how Andy Cohen is, like, basically favoring her just by allowing her to keep coming on full time every season.
I don't think so. My
No?
opinion. I think that she has brung a lot until this season. I think that in the last two seasons, it's a little drier besides the robbery story. But I think if she doesn't bring it, I think he's going to get rid of her because you have to think about it. He can like who he wants, but the pay margin is not doing too good, especially with Kathy Hilton on there.
And she just endorsed, and she was on the E channel. Did you see that? I
I
posted
saw
it.
your post. Yeah, I was curious. Like, what was that?
I guess it was like a show, and she just kind of like joined for that specific episode. But it was the E channel, and I feel like E channel and Bravo are like competitive because E channel used to produce the Kardashians, and you
Yeah,
know,
normally isn't it like in your contract where like you can't?
yeah.
But maybe she didn't renew.
I don't think we're gonna see her again. Addison says, as Carlos King says, follow the reality. Now, sorry guys, now it's produce, act to create content for the show. Mm. I do think sometimes they fake some of this stuff, but that's what I love about Jersey is it's authentic.
Yes,
It's
it's
the
one
most
of the most
authentic.
authentic ones. I
Mm-hmm.
really can't name. I think Jersey and Atlanta are more of the authentic ones.
Absolutely.
I feel like Beverly Hills used to be, but like back in the day,
I agree with
maybe.
you.
Yeah, I do
Maybe.
think Miami was a little authentic, but Miami is just not that popular.
I agree with you. I love Miami. I hope
Yeah.
that Miami like picks up and people really because I love
Me
Miami.
too, and I don't think we ever discussed that.
No,
Yeah,
but
I love Miami. I literally almost love all the girls on Miami.
me too. Me too.
So
Me
I
too.
do, and they are filming now, so they are having another season, which is good.
Yeah, you know who they're bringing on? This is
No, I
tea.
don't.
Do you remember Leah from the first couple of episodes? Leah Black. She was like the older lady that had the younger son, and she had all the women sing happy birthday to him. He was like
Yes,
10.
I went back and watched the first season, and I do slightly remember her.
And
But
her
is she
husband,
even that interesting?
well, she was kind of like the grand dame, if you will. Like the women
Yeah.
came there, like cried on her shoulder, like, what do we do? And she, like, her husband was super rich, and he, like, represented somebody in a really problematic situation. I cannot think. It was like the death of like an accidental death of like a cop, I think. And um a lot of people didn't like her and him because of that. But what Tia I'm going to tell you about Miss Leah Black is she supports Erika Jayne. When all of this happened with Erika, she came out and said that she supported Erika and she believed that Erika didn't know because Leah is married to a big time lawyer. She met him because she was on the jury somewhere and they went to lunch and she met him. She was much younger than him, and that's why they have like a 10-year-old. Well, he's probably like 15 or 16, maybe 17 by now, who knows, but
Yeah.
that's why she like supported Erika because it was sort of the same situation.
Me personally, well, you already know my opinion, but I'll just share a little bit with the fans. Well, the supporters, not fans.
We
I
love
try
them.
not to be like, but I do think that when you are married to attorneys, that can be very secretive. They can be very, you're the wife, here's the credit cards, take care of the kids, stay at home. Attorneys are so secretive. They don't really put people in their business. They literally tell you the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And I mean, Erica is not 100% innocent, but I do think Erica is a little guilty by association, and I will kind of think that until she's proven otherwise. But I do believe that from my experience with other people that have dated attorneys, they are very secretive and they be living double lives.
Guess what I just looked up when I looked up her husband? I just found this article. Guess who her husband defended allegedly?
Jeffrey Epstein. Am I right?
Yes.
I just had a suspicion. I knew it.
Yes.
So he must have defended Jeffrey Epstein in that earlier case that he got the probation for when
Or
he
the
lived.
18 months. Didn't he do
Yep.
18 months in Florida
It was like
somewhere?
12, literally. He never went to jail. He paid a fine. He still had his mansion there. He was living a life. And see, That's why I always go back and do my research on people because I know the whole Jeffrey Epstein story from beginning to end. And I've always said that he should have stopped at that very moment. If
Yeah.
he stopped there, he could have skated away with the rest of his life and probably, got kept it moving. But he continued to abuse the law. And that's where people like Tom and people like him always fail because they continue to keep doing the same thing because they feel like they are above the law.
Well, they had a house on Star Island, which is like one of the most elite places. It's like beautiful. There's only so many houses on it. Lenny,
Like
the
30
oh
houses.
God, what?
Oh, my bad. I was just saying, like, there's like probably like 25, 30 houses there.
Yeah, and it's like
Super small.
elite. And they
Yeah.
sold their house for $35 million. So imagine how rich they are. If they're living in $35 million houses. They're like they're very
Loaded.
rich.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just hope that that girl brings it this season because the dynamic of the housewives are just not the same anymore. You have to really bring it or you're going to get X'd out. They don't really care
Mhm.
like how much money your husband has anymore.
Well, they're gonna turn Leah on what's her name? Alexia. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna turn Leah and Alexia are gonna have conflicts. And here's the weird thing though, they don't bring back like the people who are full time. I don't know, they just have a weird setup in Miami with like Gertrude, is that her name?
Gertie,
Yeah, Gertie. And
she was
so
boring. She was so boring.
yeah, and so I don't know what they're going to do, but I hope they get it together because it could be a great season. But New Jersey is coming early and it's coming in December. It's basically like a gift from the Bravo gods. They're like, Merry
Definitely.
Christmas, everyone, for putting up with Beverly Hills and all, being sued for being racist. We want to award you guys the New Jersey franchise early because they had to delay filming with Beverly Hills to give them a cool off or whatever they're doing. Allegedly, they're not on pause, just cooling off. And so they want to also, they can't air Teresa's 3-part wedding series until we see the season. And they want to do it while people are still into Teresa and Louis and want to see, if they wait too long, it's kind of like, that was 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So they're going to start this season in the mid-December and then they'll follow with the 3-part series. What do you think of that?
So I'm actually shook because I didn't even know that yet. But I was gonna tell you, New Jersey always comes on around my birthday, so I definitely feel like that's a little gift for me because my birthday is in January. So I was expecting it to come on after.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think also that Teresa posting those few photos she posted yesterday of the wedding was strategic because I feel like they allowed her to post that and told her to so it can keep up the interest. And now what you're saying makes even more sense because they're probably like, okay, let's keep the wedding a little more interest. We're going to throw the show in the middle of December and let's just get things going with that to hold off till the wedding premiere of the wedding show. But I
Absolutely.
also don't like how they did that because I mean, of course, Teresa probably didn't want to change her wedding date, but I think that the wedding should have been done like closer to the end of the season.
It was, I think. Like literally, I think that's because that's what happened. The season finale they filmed, and that's when Teresa and it was allegedly like physical altercation between Joe and Louis because allegedly
Oh.
Louis exploded with the rumor. So they have this huge fight the final filming day. And then like 2 days later was Teresa's wedding, and that's why they didn't go to her wedding because they just had
So
the
what's the
blowout when
hold
they
off on
filmed.
premiering the wedding?
I'm sorry.
What's the hold off on them showing the wedding show?
I
The
think that they don't want all of the drama that they're probably talk because it's a 3-part series. So there's probably all of the girls. They're probably talking about the drama from the season because it's so close. You know what I mean? They
right.
don't want stuff to like be given out during the wedding about what happens during the season because it's probably going to, ride right on into the 3-part series Teresa films with her wedding, because her brother not coming, that's going to be a big deal. And basically, she wants all of the girls and family to be involved because then they'll all get cut a paycheck. So it's a payday for all of them if they, film the 3-part series.
Right. I just hope that they don't wait too long to put it out.
I know. I
I mean,
know.
I think it's going to get the views regardless, but you really just don't want to wait too long.
I think that the hype will come from the whole season because it's going to build up. They're going to have this huge fight at the finale, and then what?
Wait, hold on. I just had to figure. Wait, so they're not going to show the wedding until after the new season?
Yes.
That is way too long.
Yes. Because of all the drama.
Oh yeah, see, they should have just. I don't know. I'm kind of ticked off about that.
You're
That is
you're
so
mad.
long. That's probably gonna be like spring.
Well, I mean, I feel like Jersey doesn't have a long season though. You know what I mean? They usually
That's
don't
why I said
have.
like spring, probably.
Well, probably like whenever the actual series would have aired, like the February 1st or whatever, that's probably when the 3-part wedding will start. So we'll have like, I don't know. That's
Well,
just, I
February
don't
wouldn't
know.
be bad, but like any later than February is bad
Maybe
to
we'll
me.
get something for Christmas. I don't know.
I think you're right. It's probably gonna be February, March.
Yeah, it is. It is. And everyone's going to be stoked because the whole season, because they're going to be, all of the drama, it's going to go boom at the finale. And then we're not going to see anything more of it until we watch the wedding or the reunion, which they still haven't filmed yet, which makes sense because, the season hasn't aired. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But I
I think
like,
it's a smart rollout. It just seems like for us viewers, it's just dragging it on out.
I know,
But I
I
guess that's what they do to keep us interested.
absolutely. But we are running out of time, Alan. We are so thankful that you came on today. We appreciate you and your like expertise.
Thank you guys. I'm
Oh
appreciative as
yeah, but
well.
make sure guys like the video, make sure you subscribe, and then of course go follow him on Instagram. We'll put a link in the chat. I can do that.
Thank
Your
you.
username. Yeah, if you send me the link, I can do it. And then you guys can just click on that and go right to his Instagram and follow him. And make sure you guys comment how much you loved our guests today so that we can continue to have great guests. If not, I'll be giving you guys detentions. So
Yes, it was a great time. I wish we
yes,
had more
thank you,
time.
Alan. And make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, put your notifications on.
I just
And I'll
did
talk to
myself.
you later, Alan. Tell them again though where they can find you in case the
Oh,
link.
I'm on Instagram at I am Rail Styles with a Z at the end. And that's my only platform right now. I do plan to come to YouTube soon, maybe.
Yes,
But
yes. Addison said I have 5 detentions already, and she is right. Addison is in the hole with detentions.
yes.
Seriously, she's in big trouble. So,
Hopefully we could do some more live soon.
yes, absolutely. This was so fun. There's so much information. Like I said, I want to do this whole deep dive on the house. I just got to get the pictures uploaded. So maybe
Oh,
we could do
yes.
that next week or something.
Yes, maybe that would be good. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
because we definitely do have to get that soon.
yeah. We got to wrap it up. We got
And
sidetracked.
Beverly Hills is what is their status before we leave? Like,
Pause.
that's so weird.
They're
I guess
allegedly letting them cool off.
I don't know. Those girls got a lot of drama over there. But I guess thank God for New Jersey because they can take over
Thank
as
God.
usual.
I heard that there's like 2 producers that want to bring Teddy in to the mix because they think she has such a great voice on her podcast that she would be able to come in and stir the pot. And that's why Bravo is having Teddy and John Mellencamp on as guests because they want to see viewers' reactions. So if you love Teddy, make sure you show that some love. And if you don't, make sure you comment so Bravo knows that we may or may not want to see her next
I
season.
think it might not be a terrible idea. I don't know. What do you think?
I think
Just
it's terrible.
really? I think it's just like maybe as an extra, but not like full time.
Well, I guess people were like pissed because they said that like in her outing Denise, she was kind of like disrespecting her like decision to, be like women, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So like it wasn't like she was just outing an affair. She was outing an affair with a woman to woman. So they feel like she pushed the boundary too far with that. So I don't
I
know.
don't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah. So they're on pause till January. So we'll have to see what happens. Karma says the bricks on Teddy throw her in a river.
I
So
do think that they could find better than Teddy, but I don't think she would be terrible. But I don't think she would be great as a full timer.
tie bricks on Teddy and throw her in the river. Karma, you're getting detention for that.
I mean, she's not that liked. I feel like she's half and half. Some people like her, some people love her. I'm not really on either side.
Oh, that is
I think
so
that who they need to
fun.
bring back is Vanderpump. That's who they need to bring back.
I think so too, honey. I think so too. I think they're gonna start building it up because I think that she's like considering it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to cut a check though, just like Kathy,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yep. I don't think
Stephanie
we're gonna
doesn't
see
need the money.
Kathy. You think we'll see Kathy again?
I think not much if they do, because Kathy wants too much. You know how I feel about Kathy. I'm not a huge fan of Kathy. Kathy's okay, but like you don't want to film all the time. You have all these restrictions. It kind of just makes the show look bad. Like you're not the president. I mean, okay, like we
Yeah.
need girls that are just really real and just consistent. Like Kathy is like hiding too much. It's like you
And
don't want to show this, you don't want to show this, you only want to film 3 times a season. It has to be all about you, or if not, you're gonna people say stuff you don't like. You want to send cease and desist orders. It's just like it's just a little too risky with Kathy. And then your budget is like sky high. You
yeah.
threaten them all the time with not showing up because of your little paycheck. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Kathy's a little hard to work with. Kathy is not like I don't hate her. She's cool, but
Right.
Kathy just doesn't want to really show the real all the time. I feel like, and her paycheck is too high for that.
Mm-hmm.
You getting a paycheck that high, we need to see the real girl, like Erica, everybody else. And I
I
truly think before we get off, I just want to say this. I do think that she kind of irks Kyle with that because Kyle has shown so much of her life, even though it's a lot that she hasn't shown. But the top earners typically are really, out there. And Kathy's getting all this money and she doesn't really want to show much.
That's a great point. I mean, I have a theory. I always say, like, rich housewives make the worst housewives because if they don't need the paycheck and they don't need the money, why, you know what I mean? Like, why bother? Like, you need someone like Jen Shaw who has legal troubles and needs to make every dollar she can. She's going to show her whole life to you. Like, that's what we need.
I mean, yeah, that's very true because I mean, when you don't need the money, you just don't care.
Right.
I remember I was so disturbed when Lisa Vanderpump left. I was like, I used to love Lisa Vanderpump. I know she's not innocent though, but I was like, dang, she's really gone now, and
Hmm.
she has so much money. It's just like when they have so much money, you know, they're not coming back.
Exactly.
And if they will,
Exactly.
it's gonna be a long time.
Exactly. I agree with you
So
1,000%. So I don't know what they're gonna do with Beverly Hills. I think it's a mess, to be honest with you. Like,
they're probably discussing it now as we speak.
I
The
think so
producers
too.
and stuff.
I honestly think like production wanted the pause so they could kind of like figure out what their next move was, basically.
Yeah,
Because
because it's
Zampino didn't work
Kyle
out either.
and Kathy even talking. They're not even talking, right? Yeah, so that's probably super awkward. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Kathy doesn't want to film like that.
And we gotta do a whole nother I got more to tell you. We're gonna have to do another video because I want to tell you all about buying Beverly Hills.
If you want to come back soon or later today, I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe we could do something on Thursday. We could talk Beverly Hills, like about the buying Beverly Hills. Or
Yeah, because
Thursday's
we
good for
do
you.
need to talk about that. At least we can discuss those things in the meantime about Beverly Hills. Beverly
Yeah.
Hills, even though they're taking a break, they do have a lot of little things that we do need to talk about.
Well, Mauricio started the buying with Beverly Hills. It's the series on Netflix, and so it's filming Mauricio and the daughters at the agency, and it's like basically a Selling Sunset, but with Mauricio's family. So it's actually kind of juicy, just because there's like some stuff that Mauricio is basically kind of dogging Rick Hilton in a way, because Rick got him started.
Really?
And yeah, so there's like this whole thing. We got to talk about it. Can
I
you do
just don't
Thursday?
understand. Yeah, only thing is I have to double check because I do work, so I might get off
Mm.
like at 5 or 6.
Oh, I was thinking that you were off on Thursdays because I don't know why I thought that.
No, I'm off
Well,
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then I go Wednesday to Saturday. So sometimes
okay.
I get off early, but I think I have like full days this week because the holiday is next week.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's
but
okay.
I'll keep you updated because
Yeah,
I possibly, depending on what time you're available. Um,
yeah.
but
We
I
can
also wanted to just mention really quick, I don't understand why it's such a beef with him and Rick because people are never gonna stay with you forever. Like, I don't know why he doesn't just admit, like, yeah, you work for Rick, he helped you out, you moved on. Like, I don't know.
well,
Because
I
I
think
find it, like, in my experience, I've worked in a few salons, and then when I leave, the owner gets mad, and they're like,
yeah, that is not cool at all. But I think Mauricio opening up like a competitor, basically like he's trying to say like he's like the fun uh agent in town, and like the Hilton and Highland, like they're direct competition. So he takes direct competition. He leaves in an email, no 2 week notice, no thank you for the opportunity. Like, here's my
oh, well, yeah,
email,
that's
I'm
not a
not
good way to
coming
go
back
out.
in. And then he also took agents with him. And then they had a gentleman's deal that they wouldn't steal each other's clients. And allegedly, Mauricio was taking clients too.
Well, the Hilton should have sued him. That's what I would have did. Because I feel
Yes.
like it's such a dragged out story. Like, just say the full story or don't even talk about it because it's like this weird hidden tension, but nobody wants to speak on it.
I know.
Because if
Well,
he left off like that, that is wrong. I would never leave off anywhere like that.
yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about, like how people do get mad when you leave a job and like move on because they're hateful or jealous or petty or whatever. And you're like, bro, I gave you a 2 week notice. Like, I was a good worker. Like,
Which is what I've
don't,
always done.
yeah, like,
But
don't.
on his end, I didn't necessarily. I knew some of that, but if he was such like a being a hole, then I mean I probably wouldn't be cool with him again either if I was Rick.
Right.
Especially if you're gonna go on TV and talk about it. If he goes on that show and talks about Rick like that, that's kind of like jacked up.
Well, he does it without doing it. I'm gonna get some clips together.
It's
That's what I need to do.
And I don't like that about these new men these days. Like, I miss the old days of the men, like Joe Judice. Like, just say what it is or don't say anything because these new men are so catty. Like, why would you go on a show and sneak diss me when you could just call me on the phone? Like, or maybe drive 10 minutes to my house since you live around the corner.
I think they're like taking notes from their women.
Yeah, the men are like the new women.
Hmm. And that reminds me, we have to talk about PK too, because he's got a real estate show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, when do you even do real estate, PK?
Hmm.
How many
Hmm.
days a week does he do that?
I don't know, but it's like based in London, and like I think they're gonna try to incorporate Dorito into it too.
I'm sure she'll be an office worker.
No,
Or in
she's
a
the
room.
stylist. She's gonna style the homes.
Oh, decor. Maybe
Yes.
she may could. I don't know. Maybe she's good
I
at that.
mean, look at the room at Buco de Pepo.
Yeah, I don't really. So does she do her own decor?
I don't know.
If she does, maybe she could, but I don't know. I mean, maybe that if you think about it, maybe that's their backup plan in case Beverly Hills chops her off.
That's actually a good idea. It might be. But I think PK and Mauricio were in plans together to start a show. And Mauricio got an offer from Netflix and he dipped on PK. And PK is being a gentleman about it. That's what I think.
If that is true, that's kind of jacked up because they did seem to be cool. So
Yeah, they were hanging out all the time.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Mauricio is a snake.
Yeah.
For years he was really quiet. Like I remember in the beginning seasons of the show, he wasn't that vocal. He would just be like seen time to time.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
maybe that's why, because he wanted to build up his brand and then go back and do his little S talking. You guys know what I mean about Rick.
I often wonder if it was like his extracurricular activities on Hollywood Boulevard that kept him out of the camera light. That's just
I
my
mean, if you
opinion.
think about it, when did that book come out? Because that could be too. It could be around same year. I mean, Beverly Hills started what 10 plus years ago. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Yeah.
could be true because of course people always know if you're smart, you don't go on reality TV if you have skeletons.
Exactly. Hello. We know that.
So, and it's actually really interesting because I watched a show, YouTube video recently. I'm gonna see if I can find it and send it to you. I think you would really like this channel too. This guy goes in LA and he interviews like prostitutes, ex gang members, like street type of people. And he interviewed this trans guy that I really loved, and everyone loved the trans guy to the point where he actually followed up and did a few more interviews with this trans guy, and this guy is like probably pushing 50, and he's been in LA for like his whole life, and he tells all these stories about these rich men that come on the corner, and he's worked with them. He says he's worked with some of these famous guys that paid him really good money. He talks about like his prime, how he was making like 10, 15, $20,000 a week, like with higher end men, like in Beverly Hills and stuff. So I'm gonna see if I can find those episodes and send them to you, because this guy really like, he really had me interested, because I'm like, LA seems like a really like devilish city. Like all these men are just like married and they're rich and they're going to the corner picking up escorts that are transsexuals, and you know I'm gay, so it's no diss to any gay or anything. But it's like these men are like living double lives, and then the women have all this like LA just seems like too much. Like
I feel like there's like the seedy side to LA, just like there is in like Las Vegas. And I feel like they can buy like any sexual desire, or like, because California was always like the place to like go to be a free bird. You know what I mean? Like the West Coast, and people could be whatever they wanted to be. And so I think like a lot of men like take advantage because they have money and they have like weird ass fetishes and stuff, and they like pay money, for people to pleasure them. And I don't know, it's
that's exactly
crazy.
what that guy was saying. That's exactly what he was saying.
Yeah. So I think Mauricio could have easily ended up on Hollywood Boulevard, just like in the movie Pretty Woman. Hello.
Yeah, he
You guys ever
says
seen Pretty
that there
Woman?
was a strip, which you might be more familiar than me, but he says that there was this street where everyone would come to. He was like, people would pull up in Bentleys, like Rolls Royces, like, and crack the back window, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
get in.
Didn't you
Like,
ever hear the whole stroll? They always call it the whole stroll, like the whole stroll, like the road where the hoes
I
are
think
strolling.
so, and I think that may be what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Because
like every town.
he said that was like the strip for like 15 years. He said
Yeah.
like COVID was the final thing that knocked the strip out the game.
Wow.
And he said
Wow.
once COVID started, that all the prostitutes that were good, they started to go online and do like
Mm,
OnlyFans, or just make accounts where their customers would reach out to them online, and then they would just link up from online. So
yeah.
this guy was very educational, and he was like, I love this guy. Like, I have to send you these videos, because I just
Yeah.
love his honesty, and just like, he's like 50. I think he's like in his beginning 50s, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been out here for like as long as Kyle and Mauricio.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can add them to my shorts too, like my videos, my short videos, if you send them to me, and then the viewers could see them too.
Yes, I'm gonna make it my business in the next day, if not by tomorrow, to find it and send it to you, because it kind of ties into the whole Mauricio little scandal. Sure, the old
Yeah.
boy was probably around there with that guy, that
Probably.
Mauricio, because and then he even said like we all know each other. He was like we all are in cahoots. Like
Of
we can have the
course.
same clients sometimes. So he even said sometimes the clients that are super kinky, like the men that are married, he says sometimes they'll book like two people that are friends to do things together, like
Mhm.
as a three-way. I'm
Mhm.
like, these men are super weird.
Mhm.
What?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
true. I believe that 1,000%, because I feel like they look out for each other because they're like their own community. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Mhm.
And then he was like, yeah, I mean, sometimes if you have a friend, you guys can make more money together, and then you come up with the price together, and then you just tell him the price.
That's smart. See? They know.
So,
They ain't stupid.
yeah, this guy was so educational. I love him. He's so funny.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Make sure you send me the videos. I'll put them in the short so the viewers can see them. And then we'll just chat privately and try to come up with a day that we can both hop on and talk in detail a little bit about all of that.
Yes, we sure can. And I mean, if all fails, we have a holiday week next week, so we definitely should
Oh,
hop on.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you
Exactly.
work around the holidays, but I'll be off for a few days.
Yeah, no, I'll be off.
Okay.
I like work with, I'll tell you later how my
Okay.
schedule is.
But
All
yeah,
right.
thank you
Well,
guys. I love
thanks,
everyone.
Rel. Thank you guys. Thank you, Marsha, for monetizing. And thank you, Rel, for coming on. We appreciate you so much.
No problem. I appreciate you guys too. Until
All right.
next time,
Till next time, have a great day.
you too. Bye bye.